A few questions. Last year, we spoke about the prevalent issue in Charleston, South Carolina at the Ralph H. Johnson VA Center. The cost of living in Charleston is enormous. So to rent an apartment nearby, 3-bedroom apartment for a family of 4 will cost you $3,000. You go 2 miles down the road, it'll cost you $5,000 a month to month. It's just the price and cost of living post-COVID has just been enormous. And so housing costs have been up almost 30% over the last year and a half. I get complaints all the time in our office from those that work at the VA and the inability to make ends meet with the jobs that they do. And they have one of the most important jobs in the country, as you're aware of. So despite the high cost of living, locality pay combines both rural and city cost of living, as you know, and it disrupts the data in Charleston, right? That doesn't really impact us in the way that it should. We talked about this last year, and I realized that GSA plays a primary role in establishing locality pay, but certainly you have a voice and can advocate for these issues, because we want to give our vets the best and the brightest that we can offer, and that means they've got to be able to afford their bills and afford their rent in very expensive places. So my first question is, what's been done in the last year since we last spoke? And what do we need to do now? How do we fix this? I don't want to have this conversation a year from now and just, be talking about all the good things we're going to do and then we never get them done.
Yeah, fair enough. I remember our discussion last year. I know that you and our staff in Charleston takes great pride in that sign on the facility, which shows it's the highest ranked hospital.
But what have we done in the
South
last
Carolina.
year? Specifically,
Since we discussed this last year, I've raised this issue of locality pay, rest of the U.S. versus some locality pay bump for Charleston and several other of our
is
localities.
there a legislative fix? Like, how do we get this for these
Unfortunately, the way
localities?
locality pay works is Congress has set up a salary commission.
Yeah.
We work that with OPM. I'm hoping we're in a position to address that the next time you and I talk. I can't say when that gets resolved by OPM.
Yeah.
Third, we are exercising what we call special salary rates for particular capabilities everywhere we can. I can get you the numbers of what that means.
Are we doing it at the
Charleston.
Ralph H. Johnson? I would love that information
I'll get you
after
that
this
information.
hearing.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
The one that's going to come new next is one for technologists in particular. OPM's been very helpful with us on that, especially with all the tumult in the private sector and technologists being laid off. We think we should be competitive there. Special salary rates will help us be competitive there. We'll get you the Charleston specific.
Yeah, that would be great. And then I have a few other questions. A lot of us have talked about veteran suicides. 6,500 more or less vets commit suicide every year. And are you familiar with the 7 privately funded MDMA-assisted therapy clinical trials being conducted at different VA facilities around the country?
Yeah, in as much as I know about them, yes. Am I intimately familiar with them? No, but I'm proud of the fact that we're testing a lot of different things across to try to make sure that we're doing the most effective.
In the studies
thing.
that have been done at these VAs that are privately
Orlando.
funded at 7 facilities around the country, do you know the effectiveness of these trials with vets with PTSD? Do you know how effective these breakthrough therapies and plant-based therapies have been for the vets?
I can get you the answers. Though.
I know the answer. The answer is 88% have seen a significant reduction overall in their PTSD. And even better than that, 67% of vets who've gone through breakthrough therapies, we're talking about MDMA specifically, when they do 3 therapeutic sessions, a controlled environment over an extended period of time, the percentage of those that have 0 indications of PTSD is 67%. So if we're going to lose 50 to 60,000 vets to suicide over the next decade, what do we have to do to get this plant-based therapy, the breakthrough therapies to our vets so that almost 90% of them have seen a huge improvement in their quality of life, their depression, the improvement in their PTSD, 88%. And then you've got 67% have 0 indication of PTSD. This is huge. And so far it's been privately funded. What do we got to do to get, I guess there's been about $559 million set aside for suicide prevention. this is it. I mean, this is just huge in what it can do for our vets. So how do we get this to all of our facilities across the country? What do we got to do to get there?
Yeah, well, we have the National PTSD Center of Excellence. We're very proud of. We consider ourselves nation's leaders.
67% of vets who've been through these trials at 7 of your VA facility 3 sessions of MDMA. This is, I would encourage you to get read up on it, get educated on it, understand the data and the science and the statistics behind it, because this is literally life-saving measures for our veterans. And there are many of them here who were on this committee who sacrificed everything in their lives, were willing to take a bullet for our country, and I hope like hell that we can do what's right for them so that they don't commit the number of suicides we're seeing on a daily basis. Thank you, and the chairwoman will yield back. Thank you. Next up, we have Representative Budzinski for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and Mr. Ranking Member, and Mr. Secretary. It's nice to see you again. I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you a couple of weeks ago.